This morning, continuing a series talking about specialty crops here in Illinois, and we're going to talk with Wes Jarrell. He's with Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery. Wes, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Jim.
And before we get started, we talked a little bit about this before we started, just to clear the air. Not Prairie Farms, where the kids go and get ice cream. This is an entirely different operation.
Kids can go and get gelato, goat milk gelato at our farms.
Okay, but this is not Prairie Farms.
But not Prairie Farms.
All right. So let's just start into Prairie Fruits. How did this place come about? What's your history with it?
We moved here in 2003 to be at the university. We bought 7 acres, a log house, and a 5,000 square foot pole barn. The first year we planted buckwheat. The second year we planted an orchard. I grew up on a fruit farm in Oregon, picked fruits, grew fruit. I really wanted to eat ripe peaches off the tree when they were perfect. Yeah. So that's why we planted a lot of peaches, apples, pears.
When you say we, who is we?
We is my wife, Leslie Cooperband.
Okay.
We're both soil scientists and both came to the university.
And so is that how you started doing the farm? You both started working at the U of I and said, hey, let's do a farm? Or?
Well, we always wanted to do a farm, and it was fortunate that we were able to find a place near town, very near our jobs, that had just the right layout and resources for us to start something. Initially, it was going to be just fruit, but then when the goats came along, we started making cheese, and we started making gelato in about 2010, and growing gardens and doing dinners, slow food dinners.
All right. And so, what were the first couple years like as you were getting things underway?
Well, we first planted a complete crop of buckwheat to see what the soil was like and kind of see if there were bad spots or especially good spots. And we added some amendments then. We've been organic since 2003, since the time we got there, and all the land treatment has been organic. So we wanted to get that in place. And then the second year, we dug holes and planted about 350 fruit trees, a little over 2 acres of trees. And started feeling our way through the goat world, and then we bought a few goats, and that took off from there.
What made you want to bring goats on the farm?
We were most recently from Madison, and we got to know a couple of really good goat farmstead creameries, small scale, produced fantastic cheese, treated their goats really well. And we thought, well, we've got some space, we have buildings, we have some land for pasture. Why don't we see what we can do?
We're talking with Wes Jarrell. He's with Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery. And so you've got the goats, you've got the fruit trees. And how else has the farm evolved over the years?
I think the biggest evolution was the discovery of all the other farms that are producing fantastic products and in the East Central Illinois area.
Do you have a lot of interaction with those other farmers?
We work a lot with other farmers. Chris and Marty Travis and Chris Travis helped us a great deal to get going, especially John Chernus and Michelle Wander at Blue Moon Farm were extremely helpful and really got our feet on the ground. And my wife's from Boston. I'm from the West Coast, and working on a farm in the Midwest is a different experience.
Sure. As we found out this spring, obviously.
Very different and very depressing, but when you look at the bloom on our trees right now, it looks like maybe it was worth it. Who knows?
So what are we harvesting right now? What's in season?
Well, really, it's very early because the soil was so cold, and there are just a few things starting to grow now. Our chefs for our dinners and our brunches that we're doing now are harvesting some herbs, some chives in particular from the garden, but also there's lemon balm. We made our first mint gelato this week, and the rhubarb, which is going gangbusters right now.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, is that a fruit or a vegetable? I mean, it's got a fruity taste to it, but what is it? Because it's a stalk, isn't it?
Well, I wanted to get the definitions perfectly straight, so it's actually the petiole of the leaf.
Okay.
It's part of the leaf. It looks like a stalk. It's called a stalk, but it's not botanically a stalk. It's a vegetable, but legally in the United States, it's a fruit.
Okay.
So if you want to do something legal with it, you have to call it a fruit because it's usually used for desserts.
And what is your favorite thing about the rhubarb?
I love to see it come up in the spring because it's a perennial. It sprouts from a rhizome under the ground, and if it's in rich soil, as soon as the soil gets a little warm and it gets some sunshine, it produces big mass of giant succulent leaves, and summer's probably here now.
Yeah, exactly. We all know, rhubarb pie.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that you can do with rhubarb?
Well, for eating, when I grew up, rhubarb cobbler was all we ever did. And then even though we picked strawberries and raised strawberries, I'd never had a strawberry rhubarb concoction until I came to the Midwest. I just heard that strawberries and rhubarb and sour cherries is something people have had. And my aunt made some gooseberry rhubarb pie, which used about 10 pounds of sugar per unit. But it was really delicious.
You talked a little bit about your chefs and putting on brunches and dinners. How did that come about? And are these chefs that use the things that grow on your farm and then kind of show the public, this is what you can do with it?
Well, finding out that there was such delicious ingredients being grown all over the area, nobody appreciated it. They all thought of the West Coast and the East Coast when they thought about high-quality ingredients. So we got together, and it turned out that our assistant cheesemaker is a trained chef, Elisa DeMarco, and she and my wife decided we should highlight some of these fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy of the area. So we put together a small dinner in 2008, had people over. It was a big success. We corrected a few things, and from that time, we usually invite farmers to come who have a special product that's in the dinner. So they get to talk to their customers directly, and the customers get to ask these farmers questions about how they raise the animals or how they grow the crops. And it makes for an interaction that is really hard to come by these days.
And as far as customers go, are these general public? Are these restaurant owners? Who comes to these?
Well, usually it's general public, but we also do a lot of more and more special events, scheduled events for university, for businesses, and schools. We also sell to restaurants in Chicago and sometimes on the East Coast and West Coast, but mostly regionally, the cheese and gelato. And then we have a wide variety of customers with stores, also shops that are selling. And some in town like Common Ground Co-op and Harvest Market is buying some.
Where is the farm located at?
It's just 2 miles off north of I-74 on the brand new Lincoln Avenue.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Just like a boulevard up there now. So, if you come at us from the west, you come over the brand new Olympian Drive.
Oh, okay.
So all roads lead to Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery.
We're talking with Wes Jarrell with Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery. Is your product available in the Champaign Farmers Market that gets underway?
Exactly. We started with the Urbana Farmers Market. It was a great market. It's still, we've been at at least a dozen markets probably around the state, including several in Chicago. And I think Urbana is the best. It has really been a fantastic place for us.
All right. And about how many employees do you have on the farm? Is it seasonal or is it year-round?
The goats are seasonal in that they breed in the fall and have baby goats in the March, and so we don't make much cheese or do much with cheese in January, February. But the rest of the year we have a couple of people working with the goats primarily, and a couple of people working with the kitchen. And then we have a lot of part-time help for handling bigger events or bigger needs. So
we've got the fruit farm, we've got the goat farm part of it. Do you have any ideas in the future about what more there could be?
Well, I think that with our current chef is Raquel Ritz, who owned Luna, managed Luna. She does a spectacular job. And I think she's interested in doing some other events, like all the way up to weddings.
Oh, okay.
We have a new pavilion structure that we should be finishing in the next month or so. And I think it'll be a really nice venue for more elaborate events than we've been putting on.
If people want to find out more, do you have a website or anything like that people can go to?
My wife maintains a very nice website using Small Farm Central, which is a very nice supplier for that. And it's just prairiefruits.com.
Prairiefruits.com, altogether one word.
Altogether one word, lowercase, and that goes right to it. And if you search Prairie Fruits, generally we come up first.
Wes Jarrell, Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery. Thanks for coming out today.
Thank you very much for having me.